स्वपदा वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं सागरजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिसिद्धान्त सरस्वती नामिने श्रीवार्षभानवि देवी दयिताय कृपाब्धे कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दायिने प्रभु विष्णवे नमः माधुर्योजल प्रेमाढ्य श्री रूपानुग भक्तिद श्री गौर करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्ते दीनतारिणी रूपानुग विरुद्ध अपसिद्धांत ध्वंत हारिणी नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्यमूर्ते विप्रलम्ब रसाम्बोधे पादाम्बुजाय ते नमः नमो भक्ति विनोदाय सच्चिदानंद नामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुगवराय ते गौराविर्भव भूमिष्ठ निर्दिष्ट सुचना प्रिया वैष्णव सर्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते दिव्यवृंद जयतां श्रुतोपंगो मम मंद मतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्व पदाम्बोज राधा मदन मोहन दिव्यवृंदारण्यकल्पद्रुमात् श्रीमद् रत्नागार सिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद् राधा शीलगोविंददेवो पृष्ठालेभिः स्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमान राज रसारंभी वंशीवट तटस्थित कर्षण वेणु सुनील गोपी गोपीनाथाय श्रीस्तुन तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय पीपीटी लॉगिन रेडी का 8.4 ये देगा पासवर्ड ओके होस्ट डिसेबल अभी इसको लॉक कर दो हरी बोल लेना इसको लॉक करो जो भी है उनको बोलो ऑनलाइन ज्वाइन करो उसे उधर बाहर बोलो, सिक्योरिटी को, क्या नाम है इसका, ऑफिस वाले को बोलो, जो भी आएगा उनको ऑनलाइन ज्वाइन करो। डाला का शेयर। कल कहाँ तक हुआ? 17। 17 completed, no? Huh? Today is 18. Okay. Sri Raju Vacha अपेश वंशान् राजर्षिन् पुण्यश्लोकान् महात्मना अनुवर्तिता श्वसा साधुवादेन सत्तमा. The good king Yudhishthir inquired, O great souls, will he become as saintly as king, as pious in his very name, and as famous and glorified in his achievements as others who appeared in this great royal family?
Purport. The forefathers of King Yudhishthir were all great saintly kings, pious and glorified by their great achievements. They were all saints on the royal throne, and therefore all the members of the state were happy, pious, well behaved, prosperous, and spiritually enlightened. Under strict guidance of the great souls and spiritual injunctions, such saintly kings were trained up, and as a result, the kingdom was full of saintly persons and was a happy land of spiritual life. Maharaj Yudhishthir was himself a replica of his ancestors, and he desired that the next king after him become exactly like his great forefathers. He was happy to learn from the learned Brahmanas that by astrological calculations, the child would be born a first great devotee of the Lord. And more confidentially, he wanted to know whether the child was going to follow in the footsteps of his great forefathers. That is the way of the monarchical state. The reigning king should be pious, chivalrous, devotee of the Lord, and fear personified for the upstarts. He must also leave an heir apparent equally qualified to rule over the innocent citizens. In the modern setup of the democratic states, the people themselves are fallen to the qualities of the Shudras or less, and the government is run by their representative, who is ignorant of the scriptural mode of administrative education. Thus, the whole atmosphere is surcharged with Shudra qualities manifested by lust and avarice. Such administrators quarrel every day among themselves. The cabinet of ministers changes often due to party and group selfishness. Everyone wants to exploit the state resources till he dies. No one retires from the political life unless forced to do so. How can such low grade men do good to the people? The result is corruption, intrigue, and hypocrisy. They should learn from the Srimad Bhagavatam how ideal the administrators must be before they can be given charge of different posts.
So here King Yudhishthir was confirming from these Brahmanas whether Parikshit is a qualified heir to their family or not. Because the reputation of family depends upon the people uh, who took birth in that family, how they conduct themselves. Like in our childhood also, when people ask the children, if they make a lot of noise, they ask the boy, which school from you are? Are you from ZP school or which school? So they contribute the behavior of the child to the school or the parents. So whenever we also go out, we are representing Prabhupada. If we break signals, if we travel without ticket, and all those, so people will, they may leave us because we are representing some great souls, but our behavior is not benefiting to that great personality. Like people will say, "Arey sadhu hai, chhod do," you know. Uh, why they are leaving us? Not because we are great, but we are representing great personalities. Because previous sadhus lived so ideal that even our misconduct is getting waved off. So that doesn't mean we are great. You know, if our punishment is getting excused, that is not because of our greatness, but because of the greatness of our legacy. So we should be very responsible in our conduct. At least if we are not bringing good name, at least we should not do the favor of bringing bad name. You know, so uh, we should try to conduct ourselves so nicely that our spiritual master's name doesn't get spoiled, and he should not get blamed. So that is a disciple's duty. You know, so he should bring a good name to his spiritual master. Otherwise, having such a child, क्या हो गया? उन्होंने बोला नहीं क्या आपको? हाँ, ठीक है। हाँ, ये लॉक नहीं किया तुम? नहीं हो रहा? So where I was? So we should be very careful, you know. So here Yudhishthira was asking how my grandson will be. He is worried about what service he will do to them. That is not important. How he will represent to the world. That was important. So, he is asking that question. So now text number 19 to 25. There are the qualities of Maharaj Parishit, which are described by these Brahmanas compared to previous kings, that he will have qualities of such and such king. So he was culmination of all such a great personalities. So that much, great the Parikshit was. So text number 19 will describe the personalities of Ishvaku, who is son of Manu, and Lord Ram. And the qualities which he is possessing is in maintaining all those who are born, for following the Brahmanical principles, especially in being true to his promise. So shall we read the verses or we'll just go through? Translation. Purports. What do you do? You people read purport, or this is only time we read purport? But you people study purport later, huh? Or this is first and last? First, huh? Somebody can read fast. Don't read slow, huh? 2x speed. ब्राह्मणोचु पार्थ प्रजाविता साक्षात् ईश्वाकूरिव मानवा ब्रह्मण्य सत्सन्यञ्च रामो दाशरथिर्यथा. Translation. The learned Brahmana said, O son of Pritha, this child shall be exactly like King Ishwaku, O son of Manu, in maintaining all those who are born, and as for following the Brahmanical principles. Especially in being true to his promise, he shall be exactly like Ram, the personality of Godhead, the son of Maharaj Dashrath.
Purport. Praja means the living being who has taken his birth in the material world. Actually, the living being has no birth and no death. But because of his separation from the service of the Lord, and due to his desire to lord it over the material nature, he is offered a suitable body to satisfy his material desires. In doing so, one becomes conditioned by the laws of material nature, and the material body is changed in terms of his own work. The living entities thus transmigrates from one body to another in 84 lakh species of life. But due to his being the part and parcel of the Lord, he not only is maintained with all necessities of life by the Lord, but also is protected by the Lord and his representatives, the saintly kings. These saintly kings give protection to all the prajas or living beings to live and to fulfill their terms of imprisonment. Maharaj Parikshit was actually an ideal saintly king because while touring his kingdom, he happened to see that a poor cow was about to be killed by the personified Kali, whom he at once took to task as a murderer. This means that even though animals were given protection by the saintly administrators, not from any sentimental point of view, but because those who have taken their birth in the material world have the right to live. All the saintly kings, beginning from the king of the sun globe down to the king of the earth, are so inclined by influence of the Vedic literatures. The Vedic literatures are taught in higher planets also. There is reference in Bhagavad Gita about teaching to the sun god Vivaswan by the Lord, and such lessons are transferred by disciplic succession, as it was done by the sun god to his son Manu, and from Manu to Maharaj Ikshvaku. There are 14 Manus in one day of Brahma, and the Manu referred to herein is the seventh Manu, who is one of the Prajapatis, those who create progeny. And he is the son of the sun god. He is known as Vivaswata Manu. He had 10 sons, and Maharaj Ikshvaku is one of them. Maharaj Ikshvaku also learned Bhakti Yoga as taught in the Bhagavad Gita from his father. Manu, who got it from his father, the sun god, later on, sorry, uh, the Bhagavad Gita from his father, Manu, who got it from his father, the sun god. Later on, the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita came down by disciplic succession from the Maharaj Ikshvaku. But in course of time, the chain was broken by unscrupulous persons, and therefore it again had to be taught to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. So all the Vedic literatures are current from the very beginning of creation of the material world, and thus the Vedic literatures are known as Apaurushaya, not made by man. The Vedic knowledge was spoken by the Lord and first heard by Brahma, the first created being, living being within the universe.
Okay, you can read on your own. So these are the qualities which Parikshit Maharaj is compared with. So Ishwaku and Manu, maintaining all those who born. So they are the best caretakers of Praja. So that is the quality which compared to Parikshit. And Lord Ram is keeping his promises, at the cost of even his own life. So kind of that, because generally king is allowed to break his promises. Otherwise he cannot. Uh, for higher cause, he has to break sometimes the promises. But Lord Ram will not break his any promise. That was his specialty. So that kind of specialty, Parshit also has, that they have said. Eshadata Sharanyasya Yata Shoshi Nara Shibi Yasho Vitanvita Swanam Doshanti Riva Yajvanam. His child will be munificent donor of charity, protector of surrender, like the famous King Shibi of Ushinara country. And he will expand the name and fame of his family like Bharat, the son of Maharaj Dushyant. So this purport also is big, so you can read on your own. So they have compared now with Shibi. Shibi was such a donor that once he gave his own body also, you know, that nobody can do it. You know. But Shibi Maharaj, to protect his citizens, he chopped off his own body. So that special quality Parikshit Maharaj will possess. And Bharat, he was very, very brave. He used to fight with lion with bare hand. And that's why he was famous, Dushyanta's son. So like that, he will also be having great fame and braveness. Next was he's compared with Kartiveya Arjun and Arjun. Shwani nama graniresha tulyach arjunayor hutasha iva durdharsha samudra iva dutsara. Amongst the great bowmen, this child will be as good as Arjun. He will be irresistible as a fire and unsurpassable as the ocean. Okay, so two qualities are attributed to Parikshit. One is fire and another is ocean. He is unsurpassable like ocean and irresistible like fire. And he is compared with two personalities, Kartikeya Arjun and his own grandfather Arjun. So this also you can read. हाँ परपोर्ट में उसमें लिखा है ना कार्तिनी अर्जुनो द्वयो लिखा है ना द्वयो टू अर्जुनस so one is grandfather and another is कार्तिकेय कार्ति कार्तिकेय नहीं कार्तिवीर्य दिया है कि नहीं परपोर्ट में text number 22 please read a purport otherwise मृगेन्द्राय विक्रांतो निषेव्यो हिमवानिव तितिक्षुर्व सुधेवासो सहिष्णु पितराविव. This child will be as strong as a lion and as worthy as shelter as the Himalayan mountains. He will be forbearing like the earth and as tolerant as his parents. Read the purport.
One is compared to the lion when one is very strong in chasing an enemy. One should be a lamb at home and lion in the chase. The lion never fails in the chase of an animal. Similarly, the head of the state should never fail in chasing an enemy. The Himalaya mountains are famous for all riches. There are innumerable caves to live in, numberless trees of good fruits to eat, good springs to drink water from, and profuse drugs and minerals to cure diseases. Any man who is not materially prosperous can take shelter of these great mountains, and he will be provided with everything required. Both the materialist and the spiritualist can take advantage of the great shelter of the Himalayas. On the surface of the earth, there are so many disturbances caused by the inhabitants. The modern age, the people have begun to detonate atomic weapons on the surface of the earth, and still the earth is forbearing to the inhabitants, like a mother who excuses a little child. Parents are always tolerant to children for all sorts of mischievous acts. An ideal king may be possessed of all these good qualities, and the child Parikshit is foretold to have all these qualities in perfection.
So here, now he's compared with lion, Himalayan mountain, Mother Earth, and with his parents. So lion has a quality of great strength. So that kind of quality he will possess. And Himalayan mountains are shelter givers, worthy of shelter. You know, like when you see Himalayan mountains, they're so huge that we are like insignificant in front of that Himalayan. You know, so that way he will be such a great personality that anyone he can offer shelter. Then he is compared to Mother Earth. Earth tolerates everything. We walk on Earth. We do everything on Earth. So she is tolerating us. That's why devotees, when they get up, they should pray first to Mother Earth. Samudra Vasani Devi, Parvasana Mandale. So before touching our feet to Mother Earth, we should pray this and take her blessings. And mother is the consort of Varadev. She is a Bhudevi. So we should pray to her. So she has a quality of forbearing. You know, if somebody kicks us, somebody sits on our head, passes urine and stool, will we tolerate? But she is tolerating, and despite that, she is giving us food which is required for our sustenance. So that way, a king should be like that. He was telling. It is compared to it. And he was tolerant like his parents. So Abhimanyu and Uttara, they were tolerant to whom? Whom they tolerated? Ashwadhama. Okay. So Prabhupada is telling here one should be lamb at home, lion in the chase. So when we are with devotees, we should be like lamb. But when we go out, we should be like lion. But many times we do exactly opposite. We are lion inside, and once we go out of the gate, nobody will understand who you are lion. Like here, people will offer businesses, everything, but just you cross the gate, you stand on bus stop, nobody will recognize you. Like once we're traveling, and there was no reservation actually. Traveling without reservation is like very humbling experience. You have to sit by requesting people. Then you try to sit, then they will stretch their legs. That means they will not ask you to get up also, but they will not give space also. Then you find a space in between, and you try to sleep in the night. Then you take rest there, and suddenly in the night something falls on your face. So what it is? They keep shoes on pan. It directly falls on your face, and you cannot tell anything actually. Then you get up in the morning, and then you go in yoga. They put a garland. So we are getting garland in the community of devotees. But what is our worth is? Our worth is what is there in train. The shoe falling on our face. That is our qualification. But here, mercifully, devotees adore us, they glorify us, and that enters in our head. And we feel that I am just next pure devotee, or almost pure devotee, or I crossed pure devotee. So that kind of behavior we should not do. We should understand our value, how insignificant we are. There are some places people don't know ISKCON only. Then forget about, they don't know our institute only. So what we are carrying, what we are representing, they don't know it. Many times people say, Maharaj, how many children we have? And like that, they don't understand also what saffron is. Or they ask how much salary you are getting. So it's like very, our pride of renunciation is shattered when we hear such a questions. Or they say taklu, you know. Or sometimes the babies, the parents show, see that person, he will take you. Then the boy immediately keeps quiet. So we become such a that scarecrow in forest in the fields. Now they keep for scaring crows. Like that we become in the society. So we should, when devotees are bowing down, or devotees are saying Prabhu, Prabhu. So we should not think I am Prabhu, or I am this. We are just unworthy actually for anything. So we should live with the reality. Unnecessarily, we should not make hype of our existence. That I am great and why people are not respecting me. Why they are not showing me Aarti first? Why they are not showing this? Why they are not calling? Why they are not giving me Prem Dhwani? Why they are not doing so many things? Come to our mind. But that's not good. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expects from us that we give all respect to others, and we should not expect any respect. And that we should learn actually. And that is best possible when we do Harinam or book distribution or these things, which I am also scared, but these are the places where you become thoroughly, they make you thoroughly humble. Even if you're not humble, they will make you humble. So we should always remind ourselves that I should not become lion amongst the devotees. I should live with a humble attitude. So here Parikshit has that attitude. That next, Pitamah samasa samye prasade girishopamam Ashraya sarvabhutanam yatha devo ramashraya. This child will be like his grandfather, Yudhishthir, or Brahma in equanimity of mind. He will be munificent like the Lord of the Kailas hill, Shiva. And he will be resort of everyone, like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, who is even the shelter of the goddess of fortune. So in text 23, he is compared with Brahma, his grandfather, for the quality of equanimity of mind. And Lord Shiva, who is munificent. And third quality is Narayan, resort of everyone. So like that he is compared to these great personalities. And now the culmination is in text 24. Sarva sadguna mahatme esha krishna manuvrata ranti deva yodaro ayati rivadharmika. So he is compared with Lord Krishna himself. That he will have, this child will be almost as good as Lord Shri Krishna. We are following in his footsteps. In magnanimity, he will become as great as Rantideva. And in religion, he will be like Maharaj Ayati. So their qualities are described in purport. So you please read. So with such a good qualities, the grandson of Maharaj Yudhishthir took birth. Okay. Again, the continuation. Dhrutya bali sama Krishne pralladiva sadgraha ahartersho ashramedhanam vruddhanam parupasakaha. This child will be like Bali Maharaj in patience, a staunch devotee of Lord Krishna like Prahlad Maharaj, a performer of many Ashwamedh horse sacrifices, and follower of old and experienced man. So he will be like Bali Maharaj compared to patience, and he will like Prahlad Maharaj, being a staunch devotee of Lord Krishna, and he will perform many Ashwamedh yajnas. So this is the qualities of Maharaj Parikshit. These are the qualities of Maharaj Parikshit. Text number 26. Rajarshinam janayitva shasta chod patagaminam nigrahita kaleresha bhuvo dharmasya karanat. The child will be the father of kings who will be like sages. For world peace, And for the sake of religion, he will be the chastiser of the upstart and the quarrelsome. Read.
The wisest man in the world is a devotee of the Lord. The sages are called wise men, and there are different types of wise men for different branches of knowledge. Unless, therefore, the king or the head of the state is the wisest man, he cannot control all types of wise men in the state. The line of royal succession in the family of Maharaj Yudhishthira, all the kings, without exception, were the wisest men of their times. And so also it is foretold about Maharaj Parikshit and his son Maharaj Janmejay, who was yet to be born. Such wise kings can become chastisers of upstarts and uprooters of Kali or quarrelsome elements. As will be clear in the chapters ahead, Maharaj Parikshit wanted to kill the personified Kali, who was attempting to kill a cow, the emblem of peace and religion. The symptoms of Kali are wine, women, gambling, and slaughterhouses. Wise rulers of all states should take lessons from Maharaj Parikshit in how to maintain peace and morality by subduing the upstarts and quarrelsome people who indulge in wine, illicit connection with women, gambling, and meat eating supplied by regularly maintained slaughterhouses. In this age of Kali, regular license is issued for maintaining all of these different departments of quarrel. So, how can they expect peace and morality in the state? The state fathers therefore must follow the principles of becoming wiser by devotion to the Lord, by chastising the breaker of discipline, and by uprooting the symptoms of quarrel, as mentioned above. If we want blazing fire, we must use dry fuel. Blazing fire and moist fuel go ill together. Peace and morality can prosper only by the principles of Maharaj Parikshit and his followers.
So those who are not following Maharaj Parikshit and those who are not like, with saintly qualities, their kingdom cannot have peace. And we see also current scenario. There is always some war is going on. And people expect that everybody should become moral, saintly, but without God. That cannot be possible. Because there is no basis why they should keep the morality. If there is no fear of God, then nobody can become moral. Because he says, you fear me, but they want to see whom he is fearing. And people see that he is not fearing anybody. Then the people, those who are following him, they also don't want to fear him. And that way, everybody becomes a dangerous person for each other. So in material world, the morality and other principles are like in morality between amongst thieves. So you already stolen some things and you want that people should be moral while distribution of stolen property. So the collection, what they have done, that was by immorality. And distribution cannot happen with morality. Then somebody will kill some other person for more want of more resources or something like that. So Ishavasyam Idam Sarvam principle cannot take place. Unless until we don't bring father in picture, we cannot become good brothers. So Prabhupada tells that United Nations, they have come together to have a peace, harmony. But every year their flags are increasing. So the purpose of uniting is failing. So without having God in center of life, nobody can be a true moral person. So that is explained here. तक्षकादात्मनो मृत्युं द्विजपुत्रोपसर्जितात् प्रपस्तस्य उपश्रुत्य मुक्तसंगपदं हरे. After hearing about his death, which will be caused by the bite of a snake bird sent by a son of Brahman, he will get himself freed from all material attachments and surrender unto the personality of Godhead, taking shelter of him. Read.
Material attachment and taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord go ill together. Material attachment means ignorance of transcendental happiness under the shelter of the Lord. Devotional service to the Lord while existing in the material world is a way to practice one's transcendental relation with the Lord. And when it's matured, one gets completely free from all material attachment and becomes competent to go back home, back to Godhead. Maharaj Parikshit, being especially attached to the Lord from the beginning of his body in the womb of his mother, was continuously under the shelter of the Lord. And so called warning of his death within 7 days from the date of the curse by the Brahmana's son was a boon to him to enable him to prepare himself to go back home, back to Godhead. Since he was always protected by the Lord, he could have avoided the effect of such a curse by the grace of the Lord. But he did not take such undue advantage for nothing. Rather, he made the best use of a bad bargain. For 7 days continuously, he had Srimad Bhagavatam from the right source, and thus he got shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord by that opportunity.
So the Brahmanas are describing his death also. He just took birth and they are preparing a Jataka, and then they are telling that how he will die. So, yes.
You can predict that he will die, but snake से मरेगा ही बता सकते हो, but he will die by the snake. तक्षक नाम बताना वो तो कुछ ज्यादा ही हो गया ना कुंडली देख के, या तो उनके पास और भी पावर्स थी। अब इतना भी देख के बता सकते हो कि ठीक है इतना महान व्यक्ति होगा, ये मर भी जाएगा, सांप से मरेगा, तक्षक सांप ही आएगा, ये तो कुछ ज्यादा डिटेल एनालिसिस हो गया। उसका सांप का नाम भी बता दिया। आई गेस एस्ट्रोलॉजर से ज्यादा शायद और टेलिंग कुछ और भी पावर हो सकती है उनके पास। मतलब आपका क्या विचार है?
So we are more fascinated by the prediction of astrologers than who got out of the material world, that process. So which is fascinating? Getting out of the material world is fascinating, or predicting Takshak is fascinating? But we are getting, we are feeling so like excited that how they could predict Takshaka. But we are not feeling that Shukdev Goswami has released him from the cycle of birth and death. So this is what turning point for us. What should fascinate us? What should impress our mind? So otherwise we'll become penny wise, pound foolish. Penny wise, pound foolish. We'll lose Krishna for these predictions, the art of prediction. So whether Takshak comes or anybody comes, Yama comes, whoever comes, somebody will come. How death is coming, that is not important. How we are going out from this world, that is very important. So for a thief, which is important? Exit gate is important, or another cell which has more facilities? That is important. The exit gate is important. So for devotees, the important is how one will get out of this cycle of birth and death. So here, after hearing this, Yudhishthira Maharaj will not get disturbed. Arey, what is this? My such a pious grandson is getting bitten by a snake. That too by curse of a Brahmana boy. So they are not worried about how they are dying, but they are worried about how he is living. So how long we lived is not important. With what quality we lived, that is important. And there are many sages like Shankaracharya lived 32 years, or many sages, they did not live a long life. At least here, Yudhishthir, this Parikshit Maharaj knows that death is going to come 7 days and he was prepared. But many of us don't know when we'll die. You know, our death can happen anytime. So we should be very, very careful, how we're spending our time when we are alive. So Prabhupada is telling material attachment and taking shelter of lotus feet of Lord go ill together. Shelter, whose shelter we are taking? We are taking shelter. Always we are taking shelter. Question is whose shelter we are taking? So devotees, they always take shelter of Lord, not any other things. So there are best of the yoga teachers who lived for 100 and some 100 years, more than 100 years. But their own son died not by some disease or something like that, just by getting some scrambled somewhere and he died. So our body is not shelter. We cannot have trust on our body. And money also. There are some people who had a lot of wealth and they just wrote on the name of their children. So the child, the son, he removes them out of the home. Next day they are on street. So like that, a child also cannot protect us. The wealth also cannot protect us. So only shelter of Krishna can protect us. So that one should learn to take, So here Parikshit is taking shelter of Lord in such a crisis situation. That is very much appreciated. जिज्ञासितात्मयार्थार्थो मूर्ते मुनिर्व्यास सुतादसो हित्वेदं नृपगंगायां यास्तत् यद्धा कुतो भयम्. After inquiring about proper self-knowledge from the son of Vyasdev, who will be a great philosopher, he will renounce all material attachment and achieve a life of a fearlessness.
Material knowledge means ignorance of the knowledge of one's own self. Philosophy means to seek after the right knowledge of one's own self or the knowledge of self-realization. Without self-realization, philosophy is dry speculation or a waste of time and energy. Srimad Bhagavatam gives the right knowledge of one's own self, and by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, one can get free from material attachment and enter into the kingdom of fearlessness. This material world is fearfulness. Its prisoners are always fearful as within a prison house. In the prison house, no one can violate the jail rules and regulations, and violating the rules means another term for extension of prison life. Similarly, we in this material existence are always fearful. This fearfulness is called anxiety. Everyone in the material world, in all species and varieties of life, is full of anxieties, either by breaking or without breaking the laws of nature. Liberation or mukti means getting relief from these constant anxieties. This is possible only when the anxiety is changed to the devotional service of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam gives us the chance to change the quality of anxiety from matter to spirit. This is done in the association of a learned philosopher like the self-realized Sukadeva Goswami, the great son of Sri Vyasadeva. Maharaj Parikshit, after receiving warning of his death, took advantage of this opportunity by association with Sukadeva Goswami and achieved the desired result. There is a sort of imitation of this reciting and hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam by professional man, and their foolish audience thinks that they will get free from the clutches of material attachment and attain the life of fearfulness. Such imitative hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam is a caricature only, and one should not be misled by such a performance of Bhagavad Sapta undertaken by ridiculously greedy fellows to maintain an establishment of material enjoyment.
So this episode of hearing a Parikshit for 7 days from Shukdev Goswami and he getting back to Godhead is very much fascinated by the philosophers and saintly peoples. So they have started this Bhagavad Sapta, where people think that after hearing 7 days, our back to Godhead is assured. So Parikshit went back home, back to Godhead, and after 7 days, these people go back home. But no Godhead. They will cry profusely in that 7 days period, and the person who will make them cry also will charge very heavily. The more he can make people cry, the more his charge will be, because he is speaking so well that people are getting influenced by him, and that way he becomes a famous personality. So once Madhvacharya was walking, and there he saw one snake was bitten by many ants. Bitten by many ants, small ants. Then Madhvacharya tells his disciples, you know who are they? The snake was their spiritual master in last life, and these ants were his disciples. So he could not deliver them. So they all are biting him now. So the speaker, or whoever is spiritual master, they should speak in such a way that people are awakened. We have difficulty to keep people awake. Forget about awakening them. And we also have difficulty to remain awake. Then forget about forgetting eating, drinking, like Parikshit. So both ways, our combination is not. Although we are studying Bhagavatam, but that combination is not. If not proper, then yield will not come proper. So where people are serious and the speaker also is serious and person also genuine, then there is a chance of happening that result. Like in scriptures it is told, you can mix mercury and what else? Bell metal. So that combination will make gold. Okay. So here, the glory of bona fide hearing process is described in this 28th verse. Yes, bro.
What is this exact concept of Bhagavad Sapta? Suppose if some ISKCON devotee is not charging, then can he conduct?
Actually, because it's so much famous in this world, and at least in India, so we also adopted that Bhagavad Sapta thing. But Prabhupada wanted that every day we should have Bhagavatam. But at least if somebody is ISKCON devotee speaking, then people will get some benefit. It will not become so, it will not become business kind of thing. So at least our devotee are doing that's good, But they should try to bring audience to a level of daily Bhagavatam than just keeping them yearly Bhagavatam audience. So we just take this as a opportunity to give philosophy to others.
And if some devotee is charging and he is giving lectures, is that correct? even for one day?
Actually, one should not charge for these courses. Like now even for these courses also we are charging. There are institutes which are earning like
Minimum.
Bhakti Vedanta courses also. Ideally speaking, this is not a good way. We should not charge. Temple is okay, but some other institutes. So if they don't book flight tickets, the preacher doesn't go only. Or some like that criteria are there. Then we are just utilizing this holy knowledge for for our livelihood. Then the whole purpose is getting defeated. So we should be very cautious actually. We should not become mechanical or money minded, while giving devotional service to others. So knowledge should not be contaminated by this, fees and all that. So those who are charging and all, they should, I don't know what is the concept behind it. If they are giving you temple, for that they're charging, we can understand it. But in general, this will come very with it will come unknowingly in our system, and then it will become a disease actually. And when everybody is doing, then it becomes normal, and then nobody will think about stopping it or opposing it. Then, like Prabhupada never charged anywhere for giving classes, and so we should also not charge. Better their local temple and they can decide how they do. But at least we should try our best to remain as pure as possible while giving knowledge to others. Like some places we give class, then they ask, Prabhuji Dakshina, you want Dakshina? So that's good from their side to offer Dakshina. But we should request them to go to temple or something. So speaking only for money is not a good standard. So we should also not speak for money. Then what we are speaking it, and it will not benefit others, and that contamination will come to us also.
Sometimes the speaker wants to go somewhere, and we have to tell them that at least provide this convenience.
Yeah, that anybody can
Ask
provide.
that we can ask.
Yes. So our motivation is important. What is our motive? To earn money or to give them knowledge? So, and everybody knows what motive one has. So we should be very careful. Iti rajñopadishya viprajatako vida labdha pachitaya sarve pratijagmo swakan gruhan. Thus, those who were expert in astrological knowledge and in performance of birth ceremony instructed King Yudhishthir about the future history of this child. Then, being sumptuously remunerated, they all returned to their respective homes.
The Vedas are the storehouse of knowledge, both material and spiritual, but such knowledge aims at perfection of self realization. In other words, the Vedas are the guides for the civilized man in every respect. Since human life is the opportunity to get free from all material miseries, it is properly guided by the knowledge of the Vedas in the matter of both material needs and spiritual salvation. The specific intelligent class of men who were devoted particularly to the knowledge of the Vedas were called the Vipras, or the graduates of Vedic knowledge. There are different branches of knowledge in the Vedas, of which astrology and pathology are two important branches necessary for the common man. So, the intelligent man, generally known as the Brahmanas, took up all the different branches of Vedic knowledge to guide society. Even the Department of Military Education, Dhanurveda, was also taken up by such intelligent men. And the Vipras were also teachers of this section of knowledge, as were Dronacharya, Kripacharya, etc. The word Vipra mentioned here is significant. There is a little difference between the Vipras and the Brahmanas. The Vipras are those who are expert in karma kanda or fruitive activities, guiding the society towards fulfilling the material necessities of life. Whereas the Brahmanas are expert in spiritual knowledge of transcendence. This department of knowledge is called Jnana Kanda. And above this, there is the Upasana Kanda. The culmination of Upasana Kanda is the devotional service of the Lord Vishnu. And when the Brahmanas achieve perfection, they are called Vaishnavas. Vishnu worship is the highest of the modes of worship. Elevated Brahmanas are Vaishnavas engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Thus, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the science of devotional service, is very dear to the Vaishnavas. And as explained in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is a mature fruit of Vedic knowledge and is superior subject matter above the three khandas, namely Karma, Jnana, and Upasana. Amongst the Karma Kanda experts, the Jataka expert Vipras were good astrologers who could tell all the future history of a born child simply by the astral calculations of time Lagna. Such expert Jata Vipras were present during the birth of Maharaj Parikshit and his grandfather, Maharaj Yudhishthir, awarded the Vipras sufficiently with gold, land, villages, grains, and other valuable necessaries of life, which also include cows. There is a need of such Vipras in the social structure, and it is the duty of the state to maintain them comfortably as designed in the Vedic procedure. Such expert Vipras, being sufficiently paid by the state, would give free service to the people in general, and thus this department of Vedic knowledge could be available for all.
So here the difference between Brahmanas, Vipra is explained, and the culmination of Brahmanism is Vaishnava. Those who become devotees of Lord. So Vipras are good at it, karmakand things. So this Jatak also comes in category of karmakand. So this karmakand and all, they look very attractive because it's like measurable. It is like you can realize very soon. And that's why it attracts people. But Vedic or spiritual things, we have to have faith. And we have to have patience. Everything is after death. Then, you have to keep that patience. So that patience can come only in mode of pure goodness. In passion and ignorance, this one will be very impatient actually. He cannot last long. No. In there, that after death I will get a spiritual word. You have to have that patience. And for that patience require, Shuddha Sattva. But if you are in passion, in ignorance, you will get immediately carried away. Like chanting and all, they are like after death, process. So that's why we are not so much worried about it. Whether we are sleeping or hearing, that is not. But playing mridanga or singing or giving class or some cooking, it gives you immediately feedback. Arey, Prabhuji, you sang like pure devotee. Prabhuji, you gave class like pure devotee. Prabhuji, what prasad you made, it's so amazing. I never ate in my entire life. Like that, this immediate feedback comes. That's why we are so careful in those activities. But nobody comes and tells us, Prabhu, what you chanting you did. Amazing. You chanted like Hardast. Or you chanted, no feedback comes from our chanting. But this is what is going to come to our help after death. And we are so relaxed with such a things because we are not at the level of pure goodness. So our priorities will change when we come to pure goodness. Like here, for Vipras, what attracts them? Karma kanda attracts them. For Brahmanas, this Upasana kanda and other Gyan kanda, it attracts people. Some people get caught up in philosophy, some people get caught up in karma kanda. But pure devotional people leave it. They don't get attracted to it. So that way, Krishna keeps pure devotion with his devotees itself. Because if somebody performs devotional service, then Krishna is sold actually. Krishna se tomar, Krishna dite par. So by bhakti only one can get Krishna, obtain Krishna. And karma can on all, you just get other things, heavenly planet, Krishna will give heavenly planet, or he will give some Brahman, other things. But he doesn't have to give himself to you. So he feels, if they are getting with this only, they are happy with, and they don't want him, then Lord will not interfere. But devotional service means people are only want Lord, nothing less than him. So for that one requires a patience. So these people are in mode of goodness, but all that, but they are getting carried away by karma kand and upasana and all that. But pure devotee, he will get attracted to devotional service only, and that's why he is a very very dear to Lord. Okay, so we should not, after getting devotional service by the mercy of pure devotees, we should keep that tempo on. We should not fall back to again to karma kand and gyan kand, because we are not able to relish pure devotional service, which is given to us. It's like throwing pearls to swine. He has only taste of stool. He never saw pearl also. So he cannot, he may eat it also or chew it also, but he will just spit it out. He has no value for the pearl. So same way, our mind has already tasted material life, and we somehow, by the mercy of devotees, have come to spiritual practice. So again, we should not get attracted to karma kand and gyan kand. Because just we are not getting taste here and pure devotion, that doesn't mean we should get attracted to these lower things. So we should stick to this process, and under guidance with a lot of patience, we should perform this devotion service very, very sincerely, seriously, without any ulterior desires. Then one day we'll find taste in this devotion service. The eyes will open, and we can see what is, important. So that is the difference between Vipra and pure devotees. Prabhupada is mentioning here. Okay. Yes, bro.
Here in last it is telling that required much requirement of Vipras to be protected in society. Last.
What is written?
There is a need of such Vipras in the social structure, and it's duty of the state to maintain them comfortably.
Yeah. So Brahman, Vaishya, Chaturvarni is very important to maintain this society nicely, so that the masses will be upgraded slowly. So that's why these Vipras are very important. If Vipras are not there, then people will live just material life. They will not follow even Vedas also. So the Vipras are important for masses. But those who got pure devotion, they should not come down to Vipra level. So we should maintain our Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Path Sevanam. That process we should keep intact. Otherwise, if we get attracted to again to Karmagand section, then our getting pure devotion will be hampered. But for general public, they will be slowly elevated. But Bhakti is such a thing, it can pull anybody from anywhere and bring to this stage. It's like this lift can take one person to 100th floor from ground to 99 anywhere. They can lift them. So like the devotional service can lift anybody. A Brahmana also can be lifted. A Shudra also can be lifted. Kirat, Huna, Andhra, Pulinda, Pilkasha, Abhirashambha, Yona Khasad, Enne Papa, Yadapa, the Shraya, Shuddhanti Tasme, Prabhu Vishnu. So that is the power of pure devotional service. Yes.
Jnana Kanda and Upasana Kanda. What is the difference? Upasana Kanda means what actually? Here it is said that this Brahmana have this expert in spiritual knowledge of transcendence. This department of knowledge is called Jnana Kanda. And above this, there is the Upasana Kanda. The culmination of Upasana Kanda is devotional service of the Lord.
Anybody knows? Huh? Upasana? Jnana is for Mayavadis. What we heard always is what? Karmakand is for karmis, Jnanakand for Gyanis, Upasana is for devotees. So Prabhupada is telling now the culmination of Upasana Kand is devotional service. So I also don't know. Anybody knows on online? Okay, Prabhupada wants us to do devotional service. Huh? And what is devotional service? Ninefold process. स एष लोक विख्यात परीक्षेत प्रभु पूर्वं द्रष्टुमनध्यायन् परीक्षेत नरेश्व्यः. So his son would become famous in the world as Parikshit, examiner, because he would come to examine all human beings in his search after that personality whom he saw before his birth. Thus he would come to constantly contemplate him.
Maharaj Parikshit, fortunate as he was, got the impression of the Lord even in the womb of his mother. Thus his contemplation on the Lord was constantly with him. Once the impression of the transcendental form of the Lord is fixed in one's mind, one can never forget him in any circumstance. Child Parikshit, after coming out of the womb, was in the habit of examining everyone to see whether he was the same personality whom he first saw in the womb. But no one could be equal to or more attractive than the Lord. and therefore he never accepted anyone. But the Lord was constantly with him by such examination, and thus Maharaj Parikshit was always engaged in the devotional service of the Lord by remembrance. Srila Jiva Goswami marks in this connection that every child, if given an impression of the Lord from his very childhood, certainly becomes a great devotee of the Lord like Maharaj Parikshit. One may not be as fortunate as Maharaj Parikshit to have the opportunity to see the Lord in the womb of his mother. But even if he is not so fortunate, he can be made so if the parents of the child desire him to be so. There is a practical example in my personal life in this connection. My father was a pure devotee of the Lord, and when I was only 4 or 5 years old, my father gave me a couple of forms of Radha and Krishna. In a playful manner, I used to worship these deities along with my sister, and I used to imitate the performance of a neighboring temple of Radha Govind. By constantly visiting this neighboring temple and copying the ceremonies in connection with my own deities of play, I developed a natural affinity for the Lord. My father used to observe all the ceremonies befitting my position. Later on, these activities were suspended due to my association in the schools and colleges, and I became completely out of practice. But in my youthful days, when I met my spiritual master, Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, again I revived my old habit, and the same playful deities became my worshipful deities in proper regulation. This was followed up until I left the family connection, and I am pleased that my generous father gave the first impression, which was developed later into regulative devotional service by his divine grace. Maharaj Prahlad also advised that such impressions of the godly relation must be impregnated from the beginning of childhood. Otherwise, one may miss the opportunities of the human form of life, which is very valuable, although it is temporary, like thus.
So Maharaj Parikshit was very fortunate. He could see the Lord in his womb. And after seeing Krishna, nobody will be attractive for that person in the material world. Nothing can attract him actually. So he was in search of that same Lord whom he has seen in the mother's womb. And that's why he got a name as Parikshit, who is searching for Krishna. So in childhood, whatever impressions the children get, that becomes the habit for their future life, further life, So that's why people were very careful in childhood, from even from beginning, from giving the name to the child. They will always give the child name of related to God or his devotees. But modern culture has become so bad that even that is also not utilized properly. Ajamil was saved just because he gave his son name Narayan. So people give name different names, So that way they constantly calling out the child, and the child will identify with that name. So if that name is spiritual, then it will have an impact on him. And Prabhupada is telling how his childhood was. And if you see now, average any child in current scenario, the parents give, if he cries too much, they give a mobile in his hand. The small boys, they're busy with mobile. So how, what impressions they will have, and how they will become, God conscious in future. And Western civilization tells that don't force child. And some parents have got into trouble by just putting tilak to child or asking him to chant Hare Krishna, giving feedback. The government people, they spy and they catch the parents, and then they reprimand them, telling that you cannot force your child. His liberty cannot be utilized, misutilized, or whatever this. So that way, they feel that we are giving freedom. Freedom for mature person is, generates some value. But somebody is immature, uncontrolled, and you ask him give freedom, then what will happen? Tomorrow he will take gun also, he will shoot also, and then you people cry, why he killed others? So this is all because of your training only. You know, some fight happens, he suddenly takes out gun and shoots. You know, there is no patience are taught, no good qualities are taught. On the name of liberty, allowed him to live like animal. So he becomes uncultured. You know, so that is very dangerous. You know, so that philosophy appears very soothing for any modern person, that really we should not harm them. Some people have come in India from foreign. They wrote articles also on the animals which are used for serving Lord. You know, the Lord in shackles. The elephants which are used for Guruvar temple. So one girl from their family only, she went to America and studied with that modern, these things, and they came down here. And when they saw this all Guruvar festivals, then they wrote a big article that Lord in shackles. The elephants are in shackles. We should not use them. And these PETA people, they are very compassionate. They made a elephant out of plastic and all, and they donated to temple. That have mercy upon elephants. Don't use elephants for process. Use this our whatever the mechanical elephant. But these guys who are making machines for elephants, they all eat meat. Where their compassion has gone for chicken and beef and all, that time they don't feel. And in city also, people are very much mad after dogs, protecting dogs. They have dog hospital, they have this hospital, but cow is getting killed, and nobody has any worry about that sacred animal. Yeah? But everybody is worried about a dog. Sometimes dog is, living a luxurious life than human beings also. They take the dog in flight, spending money for that dog or cat or whatever it is. If you go to this race course, there are horses are there. Many horses are there for race course they use. So every horse is maintained by 4 people. Can you imagine? The human life is just to take care of those horses. And generation after generation, people are taking care of the horses. You know. So this valuing system is totally collapsed. What should be valued? What impressions one should create on the mind of child? Spider-Man or this and that, so many, gun, all those things they give to children. But nobody gives children some holy name or a deity or like that. And then they wonder why the child is behaving whimsically. What you sow, that only will reap. If you don't give them God consciousness, then they will become a nuisance for the society. And then you should not wonder why people are not controlled, sense control. You show them ads, you show them a whole body and everything, and you say they should be sense control. How they will become sense control? There is no philosophy, there is no character, so they cannot become sense control. So you are putting a lighting of fire also, putting petrol also, and you expect that fire should extinguish. How that can happen? It's materially also totally a misjudgment which they are making. So any responsible parent should be careful how they are giving impressions to their children. you know. So that's why in our Krishna conscious life also, when we are like new devotees or whatever, when we are neophytes, what impressions we are picking up, what values we are having in your life, that becomes a standard actually. Mm. Like if you make a standard of chanting while sleeping in your beginning days, then that only becomes a standard for your whole life. If you don't struggle in your initial days, then you are not going to struggle in your final days. That's not going to happen. So this habit becomes nature. So good thing, bad thing. If you are lazy little bit, then it will become permanent damage. Like boat is there. It has a small hole, so we cannot say, "Arey, it's a small hole." Or a man says that my daughter is little pregnant, so that little pregnant doesn't remain little. It going to produce a child tomorrow. So this little negligence will create disaster in future. So we have to be very careful. So Krishna conscious life is careful from the childhood only, and that's what Prahlad Maharaj says. Komara Achrat Prag, you know. So we are already late. 25 years later, we got devotion service. So we have to be very serious when we are practicing it. So good qualities take a lot of time, to maintain them, but to bad qualities immediately a buffalo dies 2 kilometers also, the smell will come actually. The bad fragrance, what do you call it? Odor, it comes. But that scent you have to take your to nose and then you get some fragrance. So like that, bad qualities come automatically. We get impressed by that. But good qualities very difficult. So bad qualities are contagious. Immediately we catch. But good qualities are very difficult to learn. Like we want excuse. Then immediately we search out who all are doing that. And we just blame that on them. And uh, we remain very safe. So we have to give up that attitude. So Parikshit was so fortunate from his childhood. He has such a good grandparents, good mother, and everything so auspicious in his life. And more above all that is, he got darshan of Lord in his womb, in mother's womb. Okay. So we'll take break now or 12:30. Okay, we'll take break now. We'll meet at 12:35. आज ये खत्म होगा ना? हाँ, 6 hours. Then we'll start 13th chapter. Hare Krishna. एक- permission. सराजपुत्रो प्रवृधे आशु शुक्ल इवोडुप आपूर्यमान पितृभिः काष्ठाभिरिव सोन्वहम्. As the moon in its waxing fortnight develops day by day, day after day, so the royal prince Parikshit very soon developed luxuriantly under the care and full facilities of his guardian grandparents. Yakshmano Ashwamedhena Nyatidroha Jihasaya Raja Labdha Dhano Dadhyo Nanyatra Karadandayo. Just at this time, King Yudhishthir was considering performing a horse sacrifice to get freed from sins incurred from fighting with kinsmen. But he became anxious to get some wealth, for there were no surplus funds outside of the fines and tax collection. Read the part.
As the Brahmanas and Vipras had a right to be subsidized by the state executive had the right to collect taxes and fines from the citizens. After the Battle of Kurukshetra, the state treasury was exhausted, and therefore there was no surplus fund except the fund from tax collection and fines. Such funds were sufficient only for the state budget, and having no excess fund, the king was anxious to get more wealth in some other way in order to perform the horse sacrifice. Maharaj Yudhishthir wanted to perform this sacrifice under the instruction of Bhishma Dev.
So, real king will collect tax for the benefit of the society. Okay. तत्प्रेतमालक्ष्य भ्रातरो अच्युत चोदिता धनं प्रहीनमाजुषुर उदिच्या दिशि भूरिशा. Understanding the hearty wishes of the king, his brothers, as advised by the infallible Lord Krishna, collected sufficient riches from the north left by the king Marutta. Read.
Maharaj Marut, one of the great emperors of the world, he reigned over the world long before the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthir. He was the son of Maharaj Avikshit and was a great devotee of the sun god known as Yamraj. His brother Samvart was a rival priest of the great Brahaspati, the learned priest of the demigods. He conducted one sacrifice called Shankar Yagya, by which the Lord was so satisfied that he was pleased to hand over to him the charge of a mountain peak of gold. This peak of gold is somewhere in the Himalaya mountains, and modern adventurers may try to find it there. He was so powerful an emperor that at the day's end of sacrifice, the demigods from the other planets like Indra, Chandra, and Brahaspati used to visit his palace. And because he had the gold peak at his disposal, he had sufficient gold in his possession. The canopy of the sacrificial altar was completely made of gold. In his daily performances of sacrificial ceremonies, some of the inhabitants of the Vayulok, airy planets, were invited to expedite the cooking work of the ceremony. And the assembly of the demigods in the ceremony was led by Vishwadev. By his constant pious work, he was able to drive out all kinds of diseases from the jurisdiction of his kingdom. All the inhabitants of higher planets like Devalok and Pitralok were pleased with him for his great sacrificial ceremonies. Every day he used to give in charity to the learned Brahmanas such things as beddings, seats, conveyances, and sufficient quantities of gold. Because of munificent charities and performances of innumerable sacrifices, the King of Heaven, Indradev, was fully satisfied with him and always wished for his welfare. Due to his pious activities, he remained a young man throughout his life and reigned over the world for 1000 years, surrounded by his satisfied subjects, ministers, legitimate wife, sons, and brothers. Even Lord Sri Krishna praised his spirit of pious activities. He handed over his only daughter to Maharishi Angira, and by his good blessings, he was elevated to the kingdom of heaven. First of all, he wanted to offer the priesthood of his sacrifices to Lord Brihaspati, but the demigod refused to accept the post because of the king's being a human being, a man of this earth. He was very sorry for this, but on the advice of Narad Muni, he appointed Samvart Muni to the post, and he was successful in his mission. The success of a particular type of sacrifice completely depends on the priest in charge. In this age, all kind of sacrifice are forbidden because there is no learned priest among so-called Brahmanas who go by the false notion of becoming sons of Brahmanas without Brahmanical qualifications. In this age of Kali, therefore, only one kind of sacrifice is recommended, Sankirtan Yajna, as inaugurated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So when Yudhishthira Maharaj wanted some wealth, and because he was not like plunderer king, he had no wealth more than benefiting to his citizens. For Yajna and all those Ashwamedh Yajna, he had no excess wealth. So that time, his brothers, they went to north direction and they brought this wealth. So what is that wealth? This wealth was plates left by the Brahmanas after eating food. Like in front of our kitchen basin, we have plates, but those are made of steels. And at least we have fortune of steel plates now. In future, there will be only plastic plates. You know? So like that, like in Duranto or some Vande Bharat or other places, people get plastic bottles to drink water. So after drinking water, they just leave it there. They don't carry it. But later on, we see some beggars enter in it, and they will take all those empty bottles, scavengers. For them, it's a great wealth. But for these people, they feel it's daily matter, so they don't value it. So can you imagine these Brahmanas were so satisfied with the spiritual practice. They didn't took the plate with them at home. They just left that plate there itself. So that is the detachment of those Brahmanas. So the Purohit, he should have heat of that performer, Yajman. But Purohit sees his own hit in Yajman, from Yajman, that how much donation he can give. So there is no benefit they want to do to that. They want to do to that Yajman. Then how the Yajman will get benefit? If Purohit only expecting some benefit, then what benefit he can award to that Yajman? So that is not possible. But earlier, they were so high class Brahmanas who always look forward to see the benefit of that, Yajman. So these plates were utilized by now Yudhishthir Maharaj, the golden plates for upcoming Ashwamedh Yajna. Tena sambhuta sambharo dharmaputro Yudhishthira yajmedhe stribhirbhito yagne samayajshatiram. By those riches, the king could procure the ingredients for 3 horse sacrifice. Thus the pious king Yudhishthir, who was very fearful after the battle of Kurukshetra, pleased Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead. Read.
Perfect.
It's big, but take it. Read.
Maharaj Yudhishthir was the ideal and celebrated pious king of the world, and still he was greatly afraid after the execution of the battle of Kurukshetra because of the mass killing in the fight, all of which was done only to install him on the throne. He therefore took all the responsibility for sins committed in the warfare, and to get rid of all these sins, he wanted to perform these sacrifices in which horses were offered at the altar. Such a sacrifice is very costly. Even Maharaj Yudhishthira had to collect the necessary heaps of gold left by Maharaj Marut and the Brahmanas who were given the gold in charity by King Marut. The learned Brahmanas could not take away all the loads of gold given by Maharaj Maruta, and therefore they left behind the major portion of the gift. And Maharaj Marut also did not again collect such heaps of gold given away in charity. Besides that, all the golden plates and utensils which were used in the sacrifice were also thrown in the dustbins, and all such heaps of gold remained unclaimed property for a long time, till Maharaj Yudhishthir collected them for his own purposes. Lord Sri Krishna advised the brothers of Maharaj Yudhishthir to collect the unclaimed property because it belonged to the king. The more astonishing thing is that no subject of the state also collected such unclaimed gold for industrial enterprise or anything like that. This means that the state citizens were completely satisfied with all necessities of life and therefore not inclined to accept unnecessary productive enterprises for sense gratification. Maharaj Yudhishthir also requestioned the heaps of gold from performing sacrifices and for pleasing the Supreme Hari personality of Godhead. Otherwise, he had no desire to collect them for state treasury. One should take lessons from the acts of Maharaj Yudhishthir. He was afraid of sins committed on the battlefield, and therefore he wanted to satisfy the supreme authority. This indicates the unintentional sins are also committed in our daily occupational discharge of duties, and to counteract even such unintentional crimes, one must perform sacrifices as they are recommended in the revealed scriptures. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Yagya artharth karmano yatro loko yam ham karma bandhana, that one must perform sacrifices recommended in the scriptures in order to get rid of commitments of all unauthorized work or even unintentional crimes which are apt to commit. By doing so, one shall be freed from all kind of sins. And those who do not do so but work for self-interest or sense gratification have to undergo all tribulations acute from committed sins. Therefore, the main purpose of us performing sacrifices is to satisfy the Supreme Law, Personality Hari. The process of performing sacrifices may be different in terms of different times, places, and persons, but the aim of such sacrifices is one and the same at all times and all circumstances, which satisfaction of the Supreme Lord Hari. That is the way of pious life, and that is the way of peace and prosperity in the world at large. Maharaj Yudhishthira did all these as the ideal pious king in the world. If Maharaj Yudhishthira is a sinner in his daily discharge of duties, in royal administration of state affairs, wherein killing of men and animals is recognized art, that we can just imagine the amount of sins committed consciously or unconsciously by the untrained population of the Kali Yuga, who have no way to perform sacrifice to please the Supreme Lord. The Bhagavatam says, therefore, that the prime duty of the human being is to satisfy the Supreme Lord by the performance of one's occupational duty. Let any man of any place or community, caste, or creed be engaged in any sort of occupational duty, but he must agree to perform sacrifices as it is recommended in scriptures for the particular place, time, and person. In the Vedic literatures, it is recommended that in Kali Yuga, people engage in glorifying the Lord by chanting the holy name of Krishna, Kirtana Deva Krishna se Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet, without offense. By doing so, one can be freed from all sins and thus can attain the highest perfection of life by returning home back to Godhead. We have already discussed this more than once in the great literature in different places, especially in the introductory portion by sketching the life of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And still we are repeating the same with a view to bring about peace and prosperity in society. The Lord has declared openly in Bhagavad Gita how he becomes pleased with us, and at the same process is practically demonstrated in the life and preaching work of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The perfect process of performing yajnas or sacrifice to please the Supreme Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead, who get us free from all miseries of existence, is to follow the ways of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this dark age of quarrel and dissension. Maharaj Yudhishthir had to collect heaps of gold to secure the paraphernalia for the horse sacrifice yajnas in days of sufficiency. So we can hardly think of such performance of yajnas in these days of insufficiency and complete scarcity of gold. At the present moment, we have heaps of papers and promises of their being converted into gold by economic development of modern civilization. And still, there is no possibility of spending riches like Maharaj Yudhishthira, either individually or collectively or by state patronization. Just suitable, therefore, for the age is the method recommended by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the terms of the Shastra. Such a method requires no expenditure at all and yet can award more benefit than others' expensive method of yajna performances. The horse sacrifice yajna or cow sacrifice yajna performed by the Vedic regulations shouldn't be misunderstood as a process of killing animals. On the contrary, animals offered for the yajna were regenerated to a new span of life by transcendental power of chanting the Vedic hymns, which, if properly chanted, are different from what is understood by a common layman. The Ved mantras are all practical, and the proof is rejuvenation of the sacrificed animal. There is no possibility of such methodical chanting of Vedic hymns by the so-called Brahmanas or priests of the present age. The untrained descendants of the twice-born families are no more like their forefathers, and thus they are counted among the Shudras or once-born men. The once-born man is unfit to chant the Vedic hymns, and therefore there is no practical utility of chanting the original hymns. And to save them all, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu propounded the Sankirtan movement or Yajna for all practical purposes. And the people of the present age are strongly recommended to follow this sure and recognized path.
So Prabhupada is bringing this Ashwamedh Yajna to Sankirtan Yajna. So why Yudhishthira Maharaj was interested at all to do this Yajna is to please Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Yudhishthira Maharaj was so sensitive that he was feeling that I am sinful. Because of me, the battle took place. The war took place. Although there was no fault from their side. They were happy to just live in 5 villages. But Duryodhana was adamant not to offer a little bit land also. Lord Krishna himself tried as peace messenger to mitigate this, but still nothing could work out. So that's why this battle war took place. So there was no fault of Yudhishthira Maharaj. And Yudhishthira Maharaj didn't plunder his citizens. Otherwise, there was no need of going to north and get the golden plates and all that. So they ruled such a way, they lead such a way that the citizens also didn't felt a greediness in their heart. Why people want to have more money when they find insecurity? If anyway they are getting security, then what money can give security? And nowadays money also is not security. People may possess so much wealth, but that money will bring them in difficulty actually, having a lot of wealth. So the citizens were so nicely satisfied that they didn't bother to go to that north, and everybody knows that there is a wealth lying there in north. But now only it became emergency, and that's why these devotees have gone to north to face that wealth. So gold is such an amazing element; it never becomes impure. So you don't have to do any extra purification for gold. Gold never gets black. It never becomes black, and it has all good qualities of element. And in items, ghee is always pure. Ghee will never get fungus. You keep whatever time, the original ghee will never get fungus. And wool also is always pure. It never gets contaminated. Even somebody passes, whatever, still it doesn't get contaminated. So that is quality of wool, sheep wool. So like that, some elements are very always pure. Silk also is pure. So vomit is always considered uncontaminated, but there is one vomiting which is used, honey. Honey is vomiting, no? Honey is what? It's all they're vomiting out. It's pure. So Chaitanya Prabhupada is telling that how Kali Yuga yajnas are not possible. Because the first requirement for yajna is the fire has to lit up by mantras, not by matchbox. Now no Brahmana has a power to light fire by the mantra. Then what to speak about further things? The beginning, initial process only, they are not powerful. Then which yajna will give what benefit to others? So Prabhupada is concluding here that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us a yajna which right there in our midway, which we can do, chanting Hare Krishna or going for Harinam and doing Sankirtan yajna. But amazing thing is that when that yajna happens, everybody is very serious actually. When you see temple hall, we make yajna kund and all. We also feel so seriously we take that yajna. But every day which yajna we do, there we are colliding, collapsing, and all things are happening. There is no amusement for that yajna for us. But that yajna appears very attractive. And you have to utilize so much ghee, you have to put so much wood required, everything is required. So Prabhupada concludes with Sankirtan yajna. Next, out. So our yajna is for Lord's pleasure. So it's not for anybody else's pleasure. So that's why we do that. It's part of deity worship. It's so that we do that. So that yajnas for sankalpa is to please Lord, for the Lord's pleasure. It is not for anybody else's benefit. That means it's for benefit of entire creation. हाँ वो हर रोज होता है नित्य होम दैट इज एवरीडे वी डू हाँ 30 minutes actually devotee's mouth is yajna which those who can get blessings from devotees by feeding them nice prasad, they are doing much better yajna than any other person. Text 35. Ahuto Bhagavan Radnya Yajitva Jujernupam Uvasa Kachit Masan Surudha Priyakamya. Lord Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, being invited to the sacrifice by Maharaj Yudhishthir, saw to it that they were performed by qualified twice-born Brahmins. After that, for the pleasure of the relatives, the Lord remained few months.
Purport. Lord Sri Krishna was invited by Maharaj Yudhishthir to look into the supervision of the performance of yajna, and the Lord, to abide by the orders of his elderly cousin, caused the performance of yajnas by learned twice-born Brahmanas. Simply taking birth in the family of a Brahmana does not make one qualified to perform yajnas. One must be twice born by proper training and initiation from the bona fide Acharya. The once born kinds of Brahmana families are equal with the once born Shudras, and such Brahma Bandhus or unqualified once born kinds must be rejected for any purpose of religious or Vedic function. Lord Sri Krishna was entrusted to look after this arrangement, and perfect as he is, he caused the yajnas to be performed by the bona fide twice born Brahmanas for successful execution.
So there is one nice verse is there in Bhagavatam. Savitri birth. If somebody can search. Huh? You will search. Savitri. Savitri याज्ञ की मिला क्या हाँ? सावित्री मिला सावित्री कुछ मिला क्या हाँ। याज्ञ की बर्थ लिखो बर्थ राइट बर्थ कविता है वो। देखो। ठीक है ये सावित्री ये हो। वो लिखा है। याज्ञ लिखो मिला क्या हाँ नहीं वो नहीं ठीक है. There is a 3 types of births. One birth is from parents, second birth is from acharya, second birth from guru, brahmana, and third birth is from acharya. So like that it is, the births are there. So that I'll search and I'll tell you later. Okay. Next verse. Huh? 3 types. 3. ततो राज्ञा भज्ञात कृष्णया सह बन्धुभिः ययो द्वारवतीं ब्रह्मन् सार्जुनो यदुभिर्वृतः. O Shaunaka, thereafter Lord having bade farewell to King Yudhishthir, Draupadi and other relatives started for the city of Dwarka accompanied by Arjuna and other members of Yadu dynasty. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of first canto, 12th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Birth of Emperor Parikshit. You got it? 431:10. शुक्र सावित्र याज्ञ. ठीक है, पढ़ो ट्रांसलेशन.
A civilized human being has 3 kinds of births. The first birth is by a pure father and mother, and this birth is called birth by semen. The next birth takes place when one is initiated by the spiritual master, and this birth is called Savitra. The third birth, called Yagnika, takes place when one is given the opportunity to worship Lord Vishnu. Despite the opportunities for attaining such births, even if one gets the lifespan of a demigod, if one does not actually engage in the service of the Lord, everything is useless. Similarly, one's activities may be mundane or spiritual, but they are useless if they are not meant for satisfying the Lord.
Okay. So we are fortunate to get, first initiation, second initiation. But getting the initiations, the thing is, initiation is not end. Initiation is initiation. It's a beginning. You initiate something. But we feel people are serious before initiation. But after initiation, they feel that they are booked for spiritual world, and they get they fall relaxed. So that should not be the case. One should utilize these initiations to become perfect disciple and devotee of the Lord. Okay, now chapter 13. Chapter 13 is entitled Dhritarashtra Quits Home. So the link is that after describing birth of Parikshit, Sud Goswami starts describing the events leading to the coronation of Parikshit Maharaj. Text 1. You have book? Somebody has book? आपको लगेगा? So the contents of this chapter are text number 1 to 5. Vidura returns from pilgrimage. Text number 6 to 13, Maharaj Yudhishthir arranges reception and talks were exchanged. And text number 14 to 17, Vidura proposes in. Okay. Text 18 to 28, Vidura chastises Dhritarashtra. And text number 29 to 37, Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, and Vidura leaves the Maharaj Yudhishthir's laments. And text number 38 to 60, Narad Muni shatters Maharaj Yudhishthir's lamentation and illusion. Text number 1 to 5, Vidura returns from pilgrimage. Text 1, Suto Vacha Viduras Tirthayatrayam Maitrayadatmano Gatim Natva Gadhasti Napuram Taya Vapta Vivithita. Sri Sutu Goswami said, while traveling on a pilgrimage, Vidura received knowledge of the destination of the self from the great sage Maitreya and then returned to Hastinapur. He became as well versed in the subject as he desired. Read.
Purport. Vidura, one of the prominent figures in the history of Mahabharata, he was conceived by Vyasdev in the womb of maidservant of Ambika, mother of Maharaj Pandu. He is the incarnation of Yamaraj. Being cursed by Manduka Muni, he was to become a Shudra. The story is narrated as follows. Once upon a time, the state police caught some thieves who had concealed themselves in the hermitage of Manduka Muni. The police constables, as usual, arrested all the thieves and Manduka Muni along with them. The magistrates specifically punished the Muni to death by being pierced with a lance. When he was just to be pierced, the news reached the king, and he at once stopped the act on consideration of his being a great Muni. The king personally begged the Muni's pardon for the mistake of his men, and the saint at once went to Yamaraj, who prescribes the destiny of the living beings. Yamaraj, being questioned by the Muni, replied that the Muni in his childhood pierced an ant with a sharpened straw, and for that reason he was put into difficulty. The Muni thought it unwise on the part of Yamaraj that he was punished for this childish innocence, and thus the Muni cursed Yamaraj to become a Shudra. And this Shudra incarnation of Yamaraj was known as Vidura, the Shudra brother of Dhritarashtra and Maharaj Pandu. But this Shudra son of the Kuru dynasty was equally treated by Bhishma Dev along with his other nephews. And in due course, Vidura was married with a girl who was also born in the womb of a Shudrani by a Brahmana. Although Vidura did not inherit the property of his father, the brother of Bhishma Dev, still he was given the sufficient state property by Dhritarashtra, the elder brother of Vidura. Vidura was very much attached to his elder brother, and all along he tried to guide him on the right path. During the fratricidal war of Kurukshetra, Vidura repeatedly implored his elder brother to do justice to the sons of Pandu, but Duryodhana did not like such interference by his uncle, and thus he practically insulted Vidura. This resulted in Vidura's leaving home for pilgrimage and taking instruction from Maitreya.
So Dasiputra is one who has taken birth from a Dasi. Like previously, the kings used to marry with the princess, and the princess used to have many maidservants. And these all maidservants are, virgin. They are unmarried. So they all used to come along with the princess to the king's place. Their job is to serve the princess, the queen now, who became. So if the king impregnates any of these girls, so the child who takes birth, he is called as a Dasiputra. Although the boy is born from the father who is a king, but he is not entitled for the property. Only the children who have taken birth from the queen are considered as heirs of that king. So same way, this Vidura's birth, all of you know, how he took birth. When Vasu came, this Ambalika, they were scared by seeing Vasu's form. Because Vasu, by bodily features, he's very ugly. He has long hairs and all that. So they all got scared. So first queen, she just closed her eyes. And that's why Dhritarashtra took birth. And he was blind. And second time they sent the servant only. And through her, Vidura took birth. And when Satyavati got to know Hari, they sent the servant. Then again she forced that another queen to go with Vasudev. And she, by seeing Vasudev, became pale. And that's why the child also became pale, colored. And that's why his name is Pandu. So like that, these two children, they born out of queen. So they were inheritance of Kuru dynasty. But Vidura, born out of a maidservant, he was, although he was their stepbrother, but he was not, inheriting any rights of that kingdom. So that's why he is called as a Dasiputra. So there is a history behind taking birth as a Dasiputra. He is Yamraj in his last life. But one Rishi named as Mandavya, he was punished unproportionately. A king caught him along with the thieves, and they put them on this shul. Shul means what? It's a needle like top. It is made of wooden. What they do, they put, they take a man, make him naked. They put his rectum inside that, that wooden pole, which is sharp edge in the front. Then slowly, because of gravitational force, his body is, pulling him down, and this, this this pole goes inside his body and comes out of his mouth, and he dies. So it happens very slowly. Huh? You cannot imagine. Such a painful thing. So along with thieves, they put this Mundakamuni also. And when Mundakamuni told, I am a saintly person, then the king removed him from that. And then Mundakamuni asked Yamraj, why did you punish me like this? Then, he gives explanation. Yamraj gives explanation. In childhood, used to pierce the body, the back part of the insects with a grass. So that's why you got this punishment. Then he says, I was child, and child is considered innocent. So they did that. So they should not be punished. It's you are giving a improportional punishment. So that's why he cursed to Yamdutun, Yamraj only. So that is a. So karmas are very fine. Nobody can escape. Sometimes we feel, why others are torturing me? Whether Krishna is there or not. Krishna is there before you, after you, every time he is there. So we should not feel that I am getting unnecessarily punished. Does God exist? When we suffer, that time only this question comes. But when we give punishment to others, or when we torture others, that time, does God exist? This question doesn't come. So Vaishnavism means one should be sensitive with others, not sensitive with oneself. Always, who is torturing me, who is saying me, who is disrespecting me, who is doing what. So that is not Vaishnava's business. Vaishnavas are busy with giving respect to others, sensitivity to others, and thinking what is happening to them is very less. I'm supposed to get a big punishment, but Krishna just minimizing it, because I have somehow I am chanting or something I am showing, show of devotion I am doing, still Krishna is protecting me and not giving me big punishment. So that attitude a devotee always has, you know. So we should not worry about why others are not checked, why others are flourishing, why others they are doing all nonsense, but still they are not getting any pain. Like sometimes, people get cancer. Who get cancer? Those are vegetarian, who never ate meat, who never smoked. They may get cancer. So that person may feel very bad. Are what is this? Why I got cancer? This fellow is drinking day and night, smoking day and night. He is healthy, and I have done nothing wrong, but I got cancer. So that doesn't mean, we should not just take this lifetime situation. We have baggage of so many lifetimes, sinful things with us. So just we are doing now devotional service. So we should not feel that nothing should come to me and start judging, misjudging Krishna for current situation. So this is not a right outlook. So we have to develop an outlook, to tolerate, and introspect and be grateful in all situations. Anything goes wrong, we should take the responsibility. And anything happens good, we should give credit to Krishna and his devotees. So success has many fathers, and failure is always orphan. Or we put on other side, that it didn't fail because of me. And when success is there, then anybody who is far away, he says that I had helped that time, so he got success. But when failure happens, the one who has done the blunder, he also doesn't take the responsibility. He will direct it to some other person. So that is a natural habit of a conditioned person. But devotees are totally different. So anything goes wrong, they take responsibility. And anything goes well, they give credit to spiritual master, they give credit to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vaishnavas, others. They don't say it's because of me things have taken place. So that attitude we find very much in Yudhishthira Maharaj. And now Vidura has come back because he was insulted so heavily by Duryodhana. But still, he kept that insult aside. If somebody's welfare is there, in hand, so just for the welfare of Dhritarashtra, he took that pain of tolerating that insult. Insult is very difficult to forget. Actually. Sometimes we remember exact sentence. If somebody has, pierced our hearts, but we forget all glories, which people have sung for us on all our birthdays. That we forget. We don't remember also. But if somebody has pierced our heart, we keep that sentence as it is, and we always remember, But, Vidura is so great-hearted soul that he just forgot all that and he came back here to deliver Dhritarashtra. So that is, compassionate heart of Vaishnava. Next verse. यावत् कृतवान् प्रश्नान् शत्ता कौशारवाकृतः जातकैर्भक्तिर्गोविन्दे तेभ्यश्चो पररामः. After asking various questions and becoming established in the transcendental loving service of Lord Krishna, Vidura retired from putting questions to Maitreya Muni.
Purport. Vidura retired from putting questions before Maitreya Muni when he was convinced by Maitreya Rishi that the summum bonum of life is to be finally situated in the transcendental loving service of Lord Sri Krishna, who is Govinda, or one who satisfies his devotees in all respects. The conditioned soul, the living being in material existence, seeks happiness by employing his senses in the modes of materialism, but that cannot give him satisfaction. He then searches after the supreme truth by the empiric philosophical speculative method and intellectual feats. But if he does not find the ultimate goal, he again goes down to material activities and engages himself in various philanthropic and altruistic works, which all fail to give him satisfaction. So neither fruitive activities nor dry philosophical speculation can give one satisfaction, because by nature a living being is the eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, and all the Vedic literatures give him direction towards that ultimate end. The Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, 15th verse confirms this statement. Like Vidura, an inquisitive conditioned soul must approach a bona fide spiritual master like Maitreya, and by intelligent inquiries must try to know everything about karma, fruitive activities, jnana, philosophical search for the supreme truth, and yoga, the linking process of spiritual realization. One who is not seriously inclined to put questions before a spiritual master need not accommodate a show bottle spiritual master, nor should a person who may be a spiritual master for others pose to be so if he is unable to engage his disciple ultimately in the transcendental loving service of Lord Sri Krishna. Vidura was successful in approaching such a spiritual master like Maitreya, and he got the ultimate goal of life, bhakti, unto Govinda. Thus, there was nothing to be known further about spiritual progress.
So Krishna tells in Gita, Vedishchaham, ahami ved, Vedanta krut ved vidhicha. So Lord is the end of all Vedic conclusions. He is a Vedant. So Bhakti, if somebody knows Bhakti, then he knows everything. So all inquisities, inquiries, they all end at a culmination of devotional service. If somebody understands that, then he understands everything. So by the association of Maitreya Muni, Vidura learned devotional service. And that's why he was satisfied and he returned back to Hastinapur. Tam bandhumagatam drushta dharmaputra sahanuja dhutarashtra yutsischa sutasharadat pratha Gandhari Draupadi Brahman Subhadra cha Uttara Krupi Anya ja Jamaya Pandor Nyataya Sasita Striya. When they saw Vidura return to the palace, all the inhabitants, Maharaj Yudhishthir, his younger brothers, Dhritarashtra, Satyaki, Sanjay, Krupacharya, Kunti, Gandhari, Draupadi, Subhadra, Uttara, Krupi, many other wives of the Kauravas, and other ladies with children, all hurried to him in great delight. It so appeared that they had regained their consciousness after a long period. Okay, so this will not read purport. So can you imagine Yudhishthira Maharaj's magnanimity, that he kept the same Dhritarashtra who incited twice the gambling match, who sanctioned all the nuisance done by his sons, but still he did not take revenge from Dhritarashtra. And not only that, he kept the wives of all these Duryodhanas and his brothers' wives in his custody, and he protected them very well. So that is the kind heart of Maharaj Yudhishthir. He was Ajatashatru. He had nobody as an enemy. So now they are very happy to see Vidura back. Katha Vritya Vartita Varasharidhi Shiti Mandalam Tirthani Kshetra Mukhyani Sekitani Hi Bhutale. Sorry. Text number 5. Pratyujagmu praharshena pranam tanva ivagatam abhisangamya vidhivat parishvanga abhivadane. With a great delight, they all approached him
As if life had returned to their bodies. They exchanged obeisances and welcomed each other with embraces.
Purport. In the absence of consciousness, the limbs of the body remain inactive. But when consciousness returns, the limbs and senses become active, and existence itself becomes delightful. Vidura was so dear to the members of the Kaurava family that his long absence from the palace was comparable to inactivity. All of them were feeling acute separation from Vidura, and therefore his return to the palace was joyful for all.
So Vidura is very especially close to Pandavas because he was always well-wisher. In the whole Kuru assembly, he was the only well-wisher for them. When they were sent to Varnavrat, that time he only gave them clue that you escape from that palace. So Vidura is always, dear to Pandavas. So that's why they were very much, Yudhishthir was feeling, always remembering, because they got conquered, but now Vidura is not there. And they know that Vidura got insulted. Why he got insulted? Because for him only, for them only. If he would have also better, but he would have done that buttering to Duryodhan, he would not have said anything to them. But he gave them good advice from the side of Yudhishthir. So he got such a bad treatment. So Yudhishthir will feel that I'm also cause for this thing happening with Vidura. So after getting so much success of getting throne of Hastinapur, he was remembering his uncle, and now they are very happy that he has come back. Mumuchu prema bashpyogo vihara utkanthakatara raja tamaharya chakre krutasan parigraham. Due to anxieties and long separation, they all cried out of affection. King Yudhishthir then arranged to offer sitting accommodations and a reception. Tam bhuktavanta vishrantam asinam sukhamasane prashaya vadnato raja prahatesha shrunvatam. After Vidura ate sumptuously and took sufficient rest, he was comfortably seated. Then the king began to speak to him, and all who were present there listened.
Purport. King Yudhishthira was expert in reception also, even in the case of his family members. Vidura was well received by all the family members by exchange of embraces and obeisances. After that, bathing and arrangements for a sumptuous dinner were made, and then he was given sufficient rest. After finishing his rest, he was offered a comfortable place to sit, and then the king began to talk about all happenings, both family and otherwise. That is the proper way to receive a beloved friend or even an enemy. According to Indian moral codes, even an enemy received at home should be so well received that he will not feel any fearful situation. An enemy is always afraid of his enemy, but this should not be so when he is received at home by his enemy. This means that the person, when received at home, should be treated as a relative. So, what to speak of a family member like Vidura, who was a well wisher for all the members of the family? Thus, Yudhishthir Maharaj began to speak in the presence of all other members.
So Vedic civilization, every grihastha will go out and he will call out, is there anybody's hungry? If anybody turns out, they'll feed that person. And then only they will eat food. But current situation is not like that. Previously, they used to write Suswagatam, Shubhalabh, and all those things. But now they will write beware of dogs. The dog who is inside the house, who is at the gate. So you have to be beware both. Sometimes beggar go to beg. In Marathi, they have saying that at least you don't give charity, don't send the dog on me. So they don't give money also, they don't give him some food also, but they put that dog on the beggar. So that is a Western civilization. Yudhishthirvacha api smaradano yushmat pakshachaya samedhitan vipadagana dermochita yat samatruka. Maharaj Yudhishthir said, "My uncle, do you remember how you always protected us, along with our mother, from all sorts of calamities? Your partiality, like the wings of a bird, saved us from poisoning and erosion."
Purport. Due to Pandu's death at an early age, his minor children and widow were the object of special care by all the elderly members of the family, especially Bhishmadev and Mahatma Vidura. Vidura was more or less partial to the Pandavas due to their political position. Although Dhritarashtra was equally careful for the minor children of Maharaj Pandu, he was one of the intriguing parties who wanted to wash away the descendants of Pandu and replace them by raising his own sons to become the rulers of the kingdom. Mahatma Vidura could follow this intrigue of Dhritarashtra and company, and therefore, even though he was a faithful servitor of his eldest brother, Dhritarashtra, he did not like his political ambition for the sake of his own sons. He was therefore very careful about the protection of the Pandavas and their widow mother. Thus, he was, so to speak, partial to the Pandavas, preferring them to the sons of Dhritarashtra, although both of them were equally affectionate in his ordinary eyes. He was equally affectionate to both the camps of nephews in the sense that he always chastised Duryodhana for his intriguing policy against his cousins. He always criticized his elder brother for his policy of encouragement to his sons, and at the same time, he was always alert in giving special protection to the Pandavas. All these different activities of Vidura within the palace politics made him well known as partial to the Pandavas. Maharaj Yudhishthir was referred to the past history of Vidura before his going away from home for a prolonged pilgrim's journey. Maharaj Yudhishthir reminded him that he was equally kind and partial to his grown up nephews even after the Battle of Kurukshetra, a great family disaster. Before the Battle of Kurukshetra, Dhritarashtra's policy was peaceful annihilation of his nephews, and therefore he ordered Purochana to build a house at Vanaravata. And when the building was finished, Dhritarashtra desired that his brother's family live there for some time. When the Pandavas were going there in the presence of all the members of the royal family, Vidura tactfully gave instruction to the Pandavas about the future plan of Dhritarashtra. This is specifically described in the Mahabharata Adi Parva 114. He indirectly hinted a weapon not made of steel or by any other material element can be more than sharp to kill an enemy, and he who knows this is never killed. That is to say, he hinted that the party of the Pandavas was being sent to Vanaravat to be killed, and thus he warned Yudhishthira to be very careful in their new residential palace. He also gave indications of fire and said that fire cannot extinguish the soul but can annihilate the material body. But one who protects the soul can live. Kunti could not follow such indirect conversation between Maharaj Yudhishthira and Vidura, and thus when she inquired from her son about the purport to the conversation, Yudhishthira replied that from the talks of Vidura it was understood that there was a hint of fire in the house where they were proceeding. Later on, Vidura came in disguise to the Pandavas and informed them that the housekeeper was going to set fire to the house on the 14th night of the waning moon. It was an intrigue of Dhritarashtra, and the Pandavas might die altogether with their mother. And by his warning, the Pandavas escaped through a tunnel underneath the earth, so that their escape was also unknown to Dhritarashtra. So much so that after setting the fire, the Kauravas were so certain of the death of the Pandavas that Dhritarashtra performed the last rites of death with great cheerfulness. And during the mourning period, all the members of the palace became overwhelmed with lamentation. But Vidura did not become so because of his knowledge that the Pandavas were alive somewhere. There were many such instances of calamities, and in each of them, Vidura gave protection to the Pandavas on one hand, and on the other, he tried to restrain his brother Dhritarashtra from such intriguing policies. Therefore, he was always partial to the Pandavas, just as a bird protects its eggs by its wings.
So, Yudhishthira Maharaj is comparing Vidura's protection as a bird's protection. Eggs are very fragile. Anytime the snake can devour it. or other birds, they hatch them, you know, they break them. But the mother bird, she takes care of that children, that eggs. Many times she is not eaten food also, but she protects those eggs. So that was a gratefulness which Yudhishthira Maharaj has for Vidura. So a great soul remembers all those who have done good to them in their life. It may be insignificant help or whatever, but they remember all that. They never forget if somebody has done good to them. So our memory has a capacity, and we have to decide which data to fill in it. So we should have some space for remembering all those people who have done good to us. Not that our memory should occupy all the those people who have done bad to us, and just we are feeling it. And sometimes we forget even people who have done good to us, that we forget, so that way our memory will become just correct. It's like gutter only. We are just storing only stool. So we should forget if somebody does bad, we should just forget it. But anybody does good to us, we should always remember. So these all things which Vidura has helped. He is remembering now Yudhishthira Maharaj. So Yudhishthira Maharaj is expressing his gratitude for what he has done. Here, after sending Varnavath, when that palace was burnt, and they found some six dead bodies, they were very happy. And their happiness lasted long only till the time Draupadi was conquered. When Arjuna pierced that target, then they understood, this cannot be anybody else other than Arjuna. But they were happy when they found the dead bodies. So Vidura was knowing all that secret, but he kept it secret, and he always desired good for them. Okay. Next verse, we'll go till 2 or first time? 2 o'clock? Kayavruttavartitam Vashradhi Shitimandalam Tirthani Kshetra Mukhyani Sevitani Bhutale. While traveling on the surface of earth, how did you maintain your livelihood? At which holy places and pilgrimage sites did you render service?
Purport. Vidura went out from the palace to detach himself from household affairs, especially political intrigues. As referred to herein before, he was practically insulted by Duryodhana's calling him a son of a Shudrani, although it was not out of place to talk loosely in case of one's grandmother. Vidura's mother, although a Shudrani, was the grandmother of Duryodhana, and funny talks are sometimes allowed between grandmother and grandchildren. But because the remark was an actual fact, it was unpalatable talk to Vidura, and it was accepted as a direct insult. He therefore decided to quit his parental house and prepare for the renounced order of life. This preparatory stage is called Vanaprastha Ashram, or retired life for traveling and visiting the holy places on the surface of the earth. In the holy places of India, like Vrindavan, Haridwar, Jagannath Puri, and Prayag, there are many great devotees, and there are still free kitchen houses for persons who desire to advance spiritually. Maharaj Yudhishthir was inquisitive to learn whether Vidura maintained himself by the mercy of the free kitchen houses, Chatras.
So this casual talk is not good for devotees, because casual behavior leads to casualty, you know. So we have to be very careful. To get good qualities, one has to endeavor a lot. And to maintain them is also very difficult actually. You know, like to grow a chandan tree is lot of endeavor required. And many times farmer they grow chandan trees. What is the topic? Okay. Where I was? So the farmer, you know, he cultivates a chandan tree, not our chandan prabhu. He cultivates so well, preserves it nicely, you know. But suddenly one night, you know, people come, they cut it, not a single leaf you'll find. They pack up everything and they go. Next day you wake up, the farmer gets up, and there is no tree actually. As if nobody planted the tree only. So like that, you know, good qualities can finish in one moment. Like we are following 4 principles. Till death it will be tested. To break, how much time it requires? One tour in Pune city, finished. You can go drink somewhere, and then you can go to some brothel, then you go to meat shop, and then you play the gamble. Within 1 hour, whole purity is evaporated, you know. But to maintain good qualities, whole life goes it, you know. So this casual behavior, which people have, it initially appears very tickling. Some people laugh when you crack joke. Then you feel, oh, I have become victorious. I put down somebody, you know, by my joke and all. See, they're laughing at him. But putting somebody down, that anybody can do actually. You know, any fool can do to put down others. They can say, they can blame, they put down God also. Forget about some other living entity. But to lift somebody to higher realm or higher position, it requires a lot of strength actually. You know, the first is our well-wishing heart should be there. You know, that everybody doesn't have. You know. Very rare people feel, you know, that something good should happen. So we should have some people who can pray for us, not otherwise. People should not pray that when this fellow will go away. You know, people should not cry because of we are being here. You know, why this person is here? Oh Lord, take him away. So that kind of we should not be. You know. So this Duryodhana insulted, calling him Shudra and his son like that. He lost all etiquette actually. You know. So this etiquette is ornament for Vaishnava. You know, if we don't maintain etiquettes, then it becomes a difficult. In Kali Yuga, all mental offenses are allowed, but we should not allow that also, because mental offenses will turn into verbal, and verbal will turn into physical. You know, so that's why we should be very careful. We should not offend anybody in mind also. You know, so if we get a bad thought about some other devotee, or something like that. We should control ourselves. We should try to see good in them and purify ourselves by glorifying them. Next verse. भवद्विदा भगवास्तीर्थ भूता स्वयं विभु तीर्थ कुर्वन्ति तीर्थानि स्वान्तस्तेन गदार्भुता. My Lord, devotees like you, good self, are very holy places, verily holy places personified. Because you carry the personality of God within your heart, you turn all places to places of pilgrimage.
Purport. The personality of Godhead is omnipresent by his diverse potencies everywhere, just as the power of electricity is distributed everywhere within space. Similarly, the Lord's omnipresence is perceived and manifested by his unalloyed devotees like Vidura, just as electricity is manifested in an electric bulb. A pure devotee like Vidura always feels the presence of the Lord everywhere. He sees everything in the potency of the Lord and the Lord in everything. The holy places all over the earth are meant for purifying the polluted consciousness of the human being by an atmosphere surcharged with the presence of the Lord's unalloyed devotees. If anyone visits a holy place, he must search out the pure devotees residing in such holy places, take lessons from them, try to apply such instructions in practical life, and thus gradually prepare oneself for the ultimate salvation, going back to Godhead. To go to some holy place of pilgrimage does not mean only to take a bath in the Ganges or Yamuna or to visit the temples situated in those places. One should also find representatives of Vidura who have no desire in life save and except to serve the personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead is always with such pure devotees because of their unalloyed service, which is without any tinge of fruitive action or utopian speculation. They are in the actual service of the Lord, specifically by the process of hearing and chanting. The pure devotees hear from the authorities and chant, sing, and write of the glories of the Lord. Mahamuni Vyasadeva heard from Narada, and then he chanted in writing. Shukadeva Goswami studied from his father, and he described it to Parikshit. This is the way of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, by their actions, the pure devotees of the Lord can render any place into a place of pilgrimage, and the holy places are worth the name only on their account. Such pure devotees are able to rectify the polluted atmosphere of any place, and what to speak of a holy place rendered unholy by the questionable actions of interested persons who try to adopt a professional life at the cost of the reputation of a holy place.
So in Kali Yuga, unfortunately, even holy places are losing holiness. If you go to Kedarnath, Badrinath, or any Vrindavan, other places, there's so much materialism has entered. Like people previously used to say that go to north. Saintly people used to go to north. But now if you go to good north, you will lose all your saintliness. If you go to Rishikesh, which is supposed to be a holy place, there you will find half of the Western countries there only. People go there to do raffling and yoga. They all half naked, full naked or whatever. And they are doing yoga there. For what? Yoga is supposed to be done to elevate oneself to spiritual world. But they are doing yoga for enhancing their physical strength to enjoy life. So that sadhus have now not left for even Badrinath also. They go to Barfani Baba, they take photo and they trouble that poor soul who is doing tapasya there. These guys, they go there, make reels and disturb that person also. Everywhere they are disturbing. So now we don't have forest also. And even forest also, every good place, these enjoyer people, they want to go and enjoy there. Like Puri is famous for what? Not for Jagannath temple. Puri, Jagannath Puri. Jagannath Puri is more famous for beach. Can you imagine these all guys are going to Puri, but they don't go to temple. They all go in beach, they bathe there and they go back. Only benefit that Haridas Thakur was Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took bath there, so they will get some benefit. But I am telling that what the holy place people are utilizing for. So there is no holiness, holiness is maintained, and they don't understand also what should be done at holy place, what should not be done at holy place. They all just go like picnic spot, and they do all nonsense things there, and then they come back. So that holy place is losing holiness. So Tirtha Kuruani Tirthani, that is pure devotees, and these people make Tirtha also a Tirtha. That is the power of this materialistic people. Like Dham also becomes a metropolitan city or something like that. Movie theaters are there. They are all playing, beer bars are there, or slaughterhouses are there. Like Pandharpur and all such holy places. Their slaughterhouses are there, just near temple and all. And we see in Govardhan Parikrama also there is Dargah is there, from where they all came. So these holy places are shrinking by this modernization, and they are losing the importance. So, but pure devotees make a place into holy place. Prabhupada left Vrindavan to make Vrindavan. He made new Vrindavan. And Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he didn't came to die in Vrindavan. He stayed in Gitanagari only. So he said that whichever temple Prabhupada has made, it is like Vrindavan. So I better die here. So that all devotees can understand that proper temples are not different than holy places. So that is the power of pure devotee. They have created holy places in the capital of Maya, like Juhu Beach and all. Such a places, in Delhi, so many temples, 12 temples are created by Maharaj. So like that, these pure devotees make, right in the camp of Maya, they will make a temple. So that is the power of pure devotees. So we should take shelter of such a pure devotees and make our life, as a holy place. By their association, by their mercy, and our unholy life can become holy, and we can become a transparent carriers. Like this, Prabhupada is telling here, they are like a extension of powerhouses. लिखा था क्या इधर? Electricity. So like electricity is generated somewhere, but it comes in our plug point also, because there are wires are there which are carrying it. So same mercy of spiritual world, Golokera Premadan, that Harinam Sankirtan has come down through the media of pure devotees. So we should not minimize them. If we cut them only, then what purity we will have. So as long as we are connected to them, we have strength, we have purity. So holy devotees are like ambulances. They roam around to pick up the conditioned souls who cannot come to hospital. So they go and save. The last pulse is there. That person also this. So Kali Yuga, all people are last pulses. We are last some some breaths are left actually. But these devotees are coming and then picking up us, giving us whole oxygen cylinder, everything is put. Now our duty is to just remain in ICU and get cured. We should not say why I am in ICU and I am powerful, I am good. And you come out of the hospital, you will die on the staircase only. Don't have to wait for some 2-3 days. So we should not think that I can become Masiha and I will save others. So first we should save ourselves. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu expected from every Indian that Janma Sarthak Kari Paropkar. So we should remain connected to these holy devotees, and then only we should dare to make other people holy. As soon as we disconnect from pure devotees, We have no strength. You know, we will discharge within a moment. You know, and we will get current from Maya's current will come. You know, and we will be fused, confused, and out. You know, so we should be careful. You know, so these holy people, holy devotees, holy name, we should be in constant touch. Okay. So I thank you all. We'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anand Koti Vaishnav Dev. So tomorrow's plan?
So tomorrow, as Ekadashi is there, so devotees can chant in the morning, and we will begin at 1:30 to 4:30. 1:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Is it okay? Huh? Prashadam will be from 12:30 to 1:30, so that also can be taken. After that, Ashen till noon. No, I think. Yeah, I think devotees are okay now with this. All devotees are okay tomorrow, 1:30 to 4:30. Hare Krishna. Thank you.